get started. I'm sure people can start filtering in as we get going. So welcome everybody for joining us for this webinar today. The webinar is on living and working in the UK, which is an online course developed to support internationally educated allied health professionals. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter it into the chat box, which Jenna is kindly monitoring. We will answer all of your questions at the end of the webinar. Just to let you know, this webinar is also being recorded to allow for your future viewing, and we will get started. So just to introduce myself initially, I am Emma Smith. I am a dietitian by background. My job currently is a AHP Legacy Mentor Lead. I work for Hertfordshire and West Essex Integrated Care Board. And I'm now going to go over to Jenna to introduce herself, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jenna Crane. I am a speech and language therapist by background, and currently I am the therapies professional lead for the Essex Learning Disability Service, which is part of Hertfordshire Partnership University Foundation Trust.
Thanks, Jenna. And over to Pete.
My name is Peter Rodway. I'm the co-founder of a company called SLC. SLC means Specialist Language Courses. And we do two things. We provide training, so tuition for clinical English, medical English, and exam English for nurses and doctors. And the other thing we do is produce courses and write content on cultural, pastoral, English, and medical English topics.
Thank you. So to start off with just some background on behind the development of this course. Here we have a list of all our wonderful allied health professions, and they form a significant part of the NHS workforce and are really valuable assets. They bring a unique set of skills and experiences to the workplace and diversify the workplace. There was a couple of years ago a big an increase in recruitment from other countries into the UK, and following that there was established the need where we wanted to make sure those who were coming to live and work in the UK had the correct support that they needed, and almost giving them a sense of belonging to help them integrate within their workforces. So that's just a little bit of background behind where the project came from. Following establishing that need, we launched a pilot that was developing a digital course. So the digital course contains 15 hours of taught content. It's to support internationally recruited AHPs. So that could be people who are in the pipeline, so perhaps haven't come across to the UK yet, but have secured an unconditional offer within the NHS. It could be those who have recently been onboarded and are perhaps going through that preceptorship stage early in their career, or because the course is very new, this is completely novel, nothing similar exists. They could have been within the workforce for a couple of years and still feel that they may benefit from what this can provide to them in terms of increasing their cultural awareness, supporting with them with learning and language development, helping just with that transitioning to living and working within the UK. Part of why this course is something to kind of sing and dance about is that there is an existing course already for nursing, and it was identified that there's an importance to have parity across all NHS professions. And as I mentioned, this didn't previously exist for internationally recruited or internationally educated AHPs. Effectively, to have cultural awareness, to have those clinical communication skills are really important, not only to support the experience that that member of staff has when joining the workforce, but also to support the experiences of the patients that we're here to provide the best possible care for. I'm now going to hand over to Jenna, and Jenna's going to talk about an experience of hers.
Thanks, Emma. So during over the last couple of years, we've done quite a lot of international recruitment of AHPs within my trust, and Eugene was one of our first. And fortunately for me, he was within my team, so I was able to really clearly help and support the process for Eugene. When Eugene first got to the UK, we arranged for somebody to meet him at the airport. So he didn't turn up into the country on his own. He had told us he was really quite anxious. He'd never flown before or left his country before. And we had some really great feedback from him that just by welcoming him at the airport, it really helped with some of those anxieties. We had dinner with him his first night in the hotel that we'd been able to source for him, so that he didn't have to do that on his own for his first night in a foreign country with unfamiliar people and in an unfamiliar place. We did things like we sourced a restaurant that had some foods that he recognised, and was able to get him some foods that made him feel a little bit closer to home. One of the things that he really reflected on was the use of kind of more local use of language, and he'd done an English speaking course in his home country, but it was those more cultural, more local things that we say that he didn't understand. An example that always sticks in my mind is when we talk about things being rubbish, and he thought we were all being very melodramatic, because in his country, in his culture, if you call something rubbish, it is the worst of the worst. We gave him the opportunity to have a look at this course, and he gave us some really great feedback about it, and would have liked to have had this as a resource for himself when he first came into the country. He would have found it really helpful. So that's Eugene. Thanks, Emma. So the project impact and outcomes, we really wanted this resource to help new staff into the country feel valued and a sense of belonging, and to standardise that offer across Herts and West Essex, because speaking to other members of staff that were internationally recruited, they hadn't had such a good experience as Eugene had, and we wanted to make that a more standardised offer. We wanted to increase the awareness and knowledge of to support transition to working in the UK. Some of the feedback that we have had is around people really wanting to have as much information as they could before they even get to the UK. The digital resource can be modified and expanded and developed over time, and I think Pete's going to talk to us a little bit more about that in a minute. And the great thing about this course is for Herts and West Essex AHPs during 2024 to 2025 will be able to use this digital course content for free, which is amazing. And we've developed a downloadable resource pack within this to accommodate different learning styles.
Right, over to Pete now, please.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, guys. I think the first thing I would want to say before I go through what's on the slides is that the course is really bridging a few different areas that you've seen from what Jenna and Emma have said about it. You have the pastoral piece of kind of welcoming somebody into the country and cultural understanding. And you also have some communication elements around English language. But the interesting thing from our perspective as an English language provider is that almost all, kind of 90+% of the AHP roles who are being registering with the HCPC will have done an English language test. There will be some people who are trained internationally who join and don't go through that route or have the ability to be signed off in some way, but most people will have done an English language test. But the international English language tests are exactly that. They are international English language tests. The IELTS test or the TOEFL test are academic English tests. So it shows your level of English, but it shows your level of English in an academic context. And other routes for certain professions, not all with the OET test. That's a clinical test, but again, the clinical test of English, sorry. But again, it's not specific to the UK and it's not specific to the NHS. So even if you've proven your level of English and you speak at a good level and you have confidence, there are going to be gaps in your understanding of your workplace and your colleagues, your role, and your local area as well. And that's part of what this course is trying to accomplish, to give them some support in those areas. So the course itself, in terms of accessing it, it's a digital course. As Jenna and Emma have said, you can use it on a learning management system. Basically, what that means is you can either log into it on a computer and you go to a website and you log in and you can access the LMS from there, or you can use it on your mobile phone. So there's an app as well, and you can access it through your mobile phone. So it's optimized for mobile devices if you want to use it on the go or on the train or when you have a few moments of time. It's a relatively short course. This was a pilot. It will be expanded in the future. Currently, it's 15 hours of study. What does that mean? It means that if you sat and did it all in one go, it would probably take you about 15 hours if you were really kind of answering the questions fully and not clicking through things. You don't have to do it like that. You can study it over a longer period of time, but that's the kind of overall amount of content. And as I said, it targets cultural, professional, and language needs. So we've tried to cover all three of those elements. In terms of what the course looks like inside, there's some slides later that show some images from inside it, but it's not the kind of typical kind of onboarding software. It's not a PowerPoint slide and a question. There's multiple different activity types. It's a multimedia course. There's video, there's audio. You can record your own voice, and there's about 15 or 16 different activity types. And in terms of downloadable content, it was made very clear to us by the team, and it's been such an excellent experience working with the AHP faculty, and it's really improved what we do as well. The downloadable content is in there as part of a reflective diary, so that you can share your learning with your team, your managers, other colleagues, and also have continuing access, and also to recognize the fact that people have different learning needs and may want something to take away or something to hold or something to write on. So it's not all about digital content. And in terms of designed to be an evolving course, so there are lots of AHP professions, 15, and this course does not contain a full language course for every single one of those professions. It contextualizes communication skills that are useful for anybody in any role, and there are some examples that have a role involved in context in role play. But our aim over the coming 2 years is to really add to this and add in more content, add in more roles to make it really kind of accessible to everyone. Okay, so about the content. I'll try not to make this too dull and just read it off the screen for you and give you some insight into why some of this information is in here. So about the UK life and culture, this is really interesting to me. I primarily work with and have worked with for about the last 20 years non-native English speakers who want to come and work in the UK, either in the NHS or with private healthcare providers. And it's not uncommon to think that if you're coming to the UK and you haven't done a lot of research about the UK and what it's like, to think that it's a small place, it's going to be the same everywhere, where in fact that's not the case. We have different dialects, we have different pronunciation in different regions. You'll even find different ethnicities in different volumes in different parts of the country. So it's not the case that when you get to the UK, you're simply going to be, your patients are going to be, white British people who speak the Queen's English. That's not the case. And that's really reflected in the course to give some information about how the UK is comprised, where people live and what they sound like. So that's with accents and dialects. Idioms, I expect you all know what idiomatic language is, but there are lots of idioms, even in health. Let me think of one. Wanting to spend a penny instead of going to the bathroom, for example. Feeling under the weather. If you're ill. There's so much idiomatic language in English, which to someone who's approached this from an academic English test, you might not have encountered some of those terms before. And then the NHS is an acronym itself, but the NHS, I've learned over the years working with the NHS, contains a lot of acronyms, AHP being one, HCPC being one, and it's not always the case that people feel comfortable and confident because of their own cultural background to ask what things mean. And when there's lots of kind of shortenings and acronyms and words that have been shortened like this, it's really good to have that all in one place, I think, as a resource to really kind of disambiguate those words. And then trade unions and equality. So working in the UK, working in the NHS, you will have certain rights and certain things available to you that you may not have had in other places where you worked around the world. So it's really good to give information around that. So that's on the non-communication skills side. And then on the communication skills side, as I say, it's quite general. It takes into account that most of the users of the language will already have a high level of English. You should be operating at least a high B2, but a C1 really for the HCPC registration. So it means you're an advanced user of English, but you might not necessarily have encountered the way that you use or will be expected to use language in your new role. Most of the AHP professions are quite autonomous. You're out on your own, you're speaking to people in the community, you're speaking to your patients, but you're also speaking to the family of your patients who may have different concerns or anxieties that you need to address, and how you explain things to people, how you get information from people, and also how you speak to your colleagues. Again, the NHS is an organisation which puts a lot of emphasis on the role of the individual and the authority of the individual. It's very nurse-centred, it's very AHP-centred, as opposed to specialist and management-centred that you'll see in some other health systems around the world. So we're really trying to focus in on that as well. And here's some examples of the content. It's a little bit small, so I hope you can see, but I'm sure you'll all be able to get access to this course soon enough anyway. But it's not a multiple choice quiz. It's not a slide and answer a question. There's video content, there's audio content, there's matching activities, there's the ability to record your own voice and hear it overlaid into a dialogue. So it's a true multimedia course. As Jenna and Emma said, this has been a pilot opportunity, and some users have already used it across the Hertfordshire and West Essex ICS. Feedback's been really good so far. We welcome feedback. There's feedback opportunities in the course at the end of the course as well. So if anybody is going to be using this themselves, we'd love your feedback so that we can improve and change the course in the future. And if you're a manager of staff and you have specific concerns that you think haven't been addressed yet, same goes. Please let us know so that we can put that onto the roadmap for future. And in terms of managers and how they've approached the course, we've taken feedback from department heads and quality managers as well across Herts and West Essex. So as you can see, that the feedback there has been excellent so far as well. But that's not to say that the course can't be expanded and improved.
Thanks, Pete. And just to kind of highlight there that we did reach out to the various different AHP professions. We weren't just focusing on, as Jenna had mentioned, she's a speech language therapist by background. I'm a dietitian by background. With the pilot, we try to reach out as far as possible to get representation, and we'll definitely continue to welcome feedback from everybody. So to sign up for the course, those people who have a secured job in Hertfordshire and West Essex integrated care system. So as you can see from the map, the areas that covers, so north of London, you are able to access this course through the QR code that is displayed on the screen here. If you have any questions about it, then you're very most welcome to contact me directly. My details are there. If it's more related to the course content or requiring you to have your login details sent to you another time, logistics around the course, if you email SLC, Specialist Language Courses, directly, they'll be able to help you. For those people who are viewing the webinar outside of Hertfordshire and West Essex Integrated Care System, you are still able to access this course. And by following the URL here, you can you can get onto the web page where we have a flyer covering some of the information that has been spoken about and links to be able to log into the course. The course is, I'll hand over to Pete here to just recap, because I don't want to say the figures wrong.
No, it's fine, Emma. Yeah. So for anybody outside of Herts and West Essex ICS, you go to specialistlanguagecourses.com and you can see under the NHS section on the website, if you can't follow that link directly, under the NHS section, there is a landing page for Living and Working in the UK, AHP edition. All the information about the course is on there. The cost is £15 plus VAT if you're outside of Herts and West Essex. Herts and West Essex have pre-funded access to the course for a 2-year period as part of our co-development together. But it's not, it's not a massive expense. We hope it's a short course, and it costs, if you include VAT. Maths is not my strong point because language is, but I think that makes it £18 if you include VAT.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll just stop the share there, and then Jenna's just going to kind of navigate us through any questions that people might have popped into the chat.
So we have a question from Catherine. She'd like to know how the AHP faculty accessed funding to develop this, and she wants to know what the situation will be after after the funding ends for 24-25.
So I'm happy to answer that kind of initially. So the AHP faculty secured a business case from Hertfordshire and West Essex Integrated Care Board Workforce Transformations team. And through sourcing that funding, combined with our input and co-development with specialist language courses, we were able to kind of create a bundle to enable us to have that free access to people who work locally to us. Is there anything you want to add to that, Pete?
I think, Catherine, I have your email address, Catherine, because you emailed me for the link to the webinar. So perhaps this is a conversation we could take offline. But it's probably best taken offline to discuss the intricacies of it. The funding involved a specific period and specific numbers, so it's not really a public forum type of thing. But I'd love to talk to you about it. And if you're interested in using the content in your area, then I'm sure we can work out a way to make that happen.
Catherine said that would be great. Thank you. We don't have any other questions.
Okay, should we give it a couple of minutes just in case anyone's would like to just contemplate for a little while and think if there's anything they would need to know.
Yeah, can I just make a point as well on using the form? So anybody who's in the chat who is an employee of Hearts and West Essex, or a manager, or if you're going to be using the course yourself, the form that you will link to using the QR code is a form for the living and working course. If you'd like to talk to SLC about anything else, clinical language, or exams, or anything like that, you should please just email us. Don't use that form.
What I can do is just put in the chat so that people have easy access to the
Yeah, I've got the form here. Let me do that. Okay, so this is the order form for Hearts and West Essex for the living and working course. And for Catherine and any others outside of the region, this is the landing page on the SLC website for the course.
We have a question: is the course currently free or paid for people outside of Hearts and West Essex?
If you're outside of Hearts and West Essex, it needs to be paid for. If you are. Yeah, the funding is for the ICS at the moment.
And hopefully, if you approach your managers and can increase the awareness of that this course exists, there could be funding opportunities internally through your organisations. I would say I definitely encourage you to be trying to talk to people and see if your employer can sort that, if you're looking at it from your own developmental perspective.
Exactly. I would say that obviously we can't promise that, but it's something that we're pretty used to. If you go on the website and you want to use the course yourself, you can buy it. But why not wait? Why not speak to managers? Why not speak to your organisation? Because it's an excellent excellent trailblazing project with lots of input from the AHP faculty inside Hearts and West Essex. So there could be funding opportunities there for you to make use of.
We have one more question. Can you reorder the same course after completion as revision?
Yes, you can. You can extend your access to it. There are downloadable materials in there. There's glossaries in there that you can take away with you. And there's a reflective diary for your work that you can take away with you as well. You can ask to have your access reinstated. That's okay. No problem at all there, Peggy.
And I think that is all our questions.
Lovely. And that brings us to 1 o'clock. So that's really good timing.
I do have one more thing to say about it that we completely forgot. It's CPD accredited as well. So when you complete it, you get a CPD certificate.
Yeah, and that's really valuable and ties in nicely with HCPC registration and importance of maintaining your CPD, because I know this time of year when people may have been called up to re-evidence, depending on what your profession is. Lovely. Right, thank you everybody for joining us today, and please do get in contact if we can provide you with any further information. Take care.
Great. Okay.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Jenna.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Emma. Bye-bye.
Bye.